Hello and welcome to the Small Business Happy Dance. My name is Rachel, I'm the host of the show, and today I'm interviewing Charlotte Hamilton, the founder and artist of Sugar Storm Studios, a creative studio that exists to empower the wild, the weird and the rebels through alternative fashion, community and tarot. And I am so excited, I can't wait. Hello Charlotte!
Hello Rachel, thank you for having me.
Charlotte, do you want to tell me a little bit about your business?
So I started Sugar Storm Studio actually as a clothing brand back in 2017. So it started as a kind of way for me to express myself through clothing. I was a recent graduate from art school, kind of just finding my feet, and then it really grew from there into what it is today, which is still alternative fashion. That takes a big part of what I do. So we have different alternative clothing and accessories. Most of it's handmade or in collaboration with small businesses. And then the community side of it is sort of creative workshops and online content. As well as that, I also read tarot. So that's a new addition to my business, which is all designed to empower people who feel like they don't fit in or feel a little bit different. This is a way to kind of bring them together, make them feel that they can celebrate those things that make them different and that they can stand out and be individual and have a really good time doing it.
So how long have you been in business?
So I started in 2017 alongside a whole host of part-time jobs and this and that. And it really just started as a kind of fun side thing, but I just instantly fell in love with it. So yeah, I mean, about a year that I've been 100% really going for it. I think like a lot of people, the sort of lockdown of last year really kind of pushed me to sort of go for it 100%. So yeah, it's been a kind of long journey of knowing nothing about business and not even really sure if I wanted to start a business, to where I am now, where it's sort of my full-time job, and still love it, which is nice.
I mean, that is everything, isn't it? Enjoying what you do. There is something that is a gift. That's important.
Yeah.
Because you spend a lot of time doing it.
Yeah, I always say it's lucky that I fell in love with it before I decided I wanted to do it to make money, because I fell in love with it so quickly, and that kind of really led it. It wasn't from a sort of business point of view. It was just like, I want to do this all the time.
And talking about your shop, did you say that your clothes, some of the clothes are handmade and they're also sustainable?
All the products have a sustainable focus. It's a hard one with sustainability, I think, because if you're making a product that goes out into the world, I think it's difficult to like kind of confidently label that as a sustainable thing. But sustainability is always at the forefront of my mind when making things. All of my products are 100% organic, they're fair wear, they're vegan approved, vegan friendly. And yeah, then there's the handmade element. So I print a lot of clothes myself, or I work with other small businesses to print them and manufacture different things. So yeah, sustainability is a big driving force. And yeah, as well as that kind of handmade element.
Yeah, and that's a big push, isn't it, this year, sustainability, and how do you make your business sustainable? And yeah, I think every step in that direction is the right step. And yeah, it takes time because it obviously, and it can cost more money because you've got to source things from different areas, and but I think it's worth the investment, and it will start to, really, if everybody does a little bit, it just all adds up, doesn't it?
Yeah, like you say, it is difficult. There's a lot of things that are just out of my reach as a small business trying to be sustainable. At the moment you sort of add sustainable or biodegradable onto anything, the price really skyrockets. So it makes things like out of reach, and some things just aren't like accessible. so yeah, it's a journey, and like I never sort of claim to be perfect in it, but I will always be transparent about it, which I think is the main thing. So if someone's shopping for me, they're going to know where their products have come from and what's been involved in it. Um, yeah, it's hard. It's hard for a small business, but yeah, it's a commitment that I think is worth it, like you say.
And I think that bit about being open and transparent when it isn't is so important,
Mm,
because there's so many big brands that might make out like something you buy is really sustainable, but actually when you dig really into it, it's not as sustainable
mm,
as they make out. And I think that that can really break your trust. So I think that being open with your customers, even if it's not about sustainability, is so important, you know,
mm.
for trust.
Yeah, it is, and that's the only way that as consumers we're going to be able to make these decisions is by being able to trust the brands that we're shopping from. And like I say, even as a consumer, sustainability can be inaccessible and you can be priced out of it. So yeah, just being able to make those informed decisions really does make a difference.
And how did COVID affect your business?
It came at a really interesting time actually, because I was I'd kind of had a break from the, not necessarily a break from the business, but I'd definitely taken a step back and I'd got really busy with other things. So the business had kind of become quite stagnant. And I think in 2020, the business was shut for January just for kind of maintenance and take a bit of a break. And then February we opened, and then March we shut. So in 2020, I was open for like 1 month, and I don't think I really made any sales. It was a really slow time for the business. And then suddenly I was furloughed from my part-time job. I suddenly had a lot of time to fill and in need of distraction really, and something to get me out of bed in the morning. And I was able to have the time to just really dive into what I wanted my business to be. And I think initially I'd put something online, oh, I'll be closed for about 3 weeks, and I'll evaluate, like, is it safe for me to reopen my shop and that kind of thing. And I ended up being closed till October, where I completely relaunched my business. I've redesigned my website, I had new logo, new products, new collections, everything was overhauled in those kind of 6 months. So I was extremely fortunate in that I did have like furlough income that I could rely on, and I suddenly had time to do all the things that, just to like create and have freedom, that there wasn't any pressure. I could just get up in the morning and spend time working things out. And I think that really gave me the pull to be like, I want to do this full time, because I could get up and just work on my business, and I wasn't rushing around to get to 3 different part-time jobs, working like different shifts. Um, so yeah, obviously there's a lot of horrible things that happened in the last year, but for me, that's a big silver lining that I can take from it, is that I got to spend that time on my business. I think it really made a difference. And now the business takes a much different shape, to it's a lot closer to what I kind of initially envisioned it being.
I mean, I everyone's experience of the pandemic was different,
Mm,
and particularly last year, the lockdowns and everything. And I think, you know, we were all in the same storm, but we were in different boats. And I felt like the lockdown, that very first one, gave me the gift of time. You know,
mm,
it was time that was given to me that you would never normally have. And I was unemployed when I entered lockdown. And that was it. I was like, well, it's going to be, you know, I'd had a really rough year in 2019, and I thought, this is it. This is the
mm,
time for me to pour some energy and time into changing what I do. And so, yeah, I think that's an amazing story from COVID, that you use that time to change your business to how you really wanted it. And I think there's
Mm,
probably other people out there who had a similar experience. And obviously, there's other people that had a terrible time and it was horrendous. And yeah, but I think that we have to hold on to there are people that did have good news stories during COVID,
mm,
and you know, that's inspiring. Even during a pandemic, you can find creativity, and like you said, you found comfort in having that routine of your business.
mm.
Yeah, wow. And now you've
Yeah.
transformed it.
Yeah, it was. It was such a strange time. And that was kind of the first time I'd ever had like a full-time job structure. Like I was working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday on my business, which I've never had a 9 to 5, like full-time job. I've always had different like part-time shift works. I've always been a person that rushes from place to place, going from the studio to a job to somewhere else, like always driving around. I've never had time, I've never slowed down. So it was, yeah, lots of challenges, and but yeah, some pleasant surprises.
So during lockdown, you pivoted the business to include tarot readings. Is that right?
Not immediately. I was still reading tarot for myself, and it was just I wanted to start reading for other people for fun and to challenge myself. I had initially said that I had no interest reading tarot as part of my business. It was just me, it was just a hobby. When I first started reading, I didn't tell anyone for a really long time. It was so personal and so sacred to me that I didn't feel any need to sort of let anyone else in. So, yeah, and it was only this year, actually. I can't remember when I actually launched it. I feel like it was around March, April time of this year that I actually launched the tarot as part of my business. So it was kind of, yeah, a slow burn with that for me to be ready.
If I was a new customer, do you want to just talk me through what the options are and then how you do it? And just, you know, if I'm a new customer, tell me what I need to know.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing when finding any tarot reader, or even if you're going down like the mediumship psychic route, anyone that's going to read for you, I would say learn as much about them as possible. I have lots of stuff on my website that kind of outlines how I read, how I feel about tarot, and my beliefs about it. So I think get to know that kind of stuff so you get a feel for me and how I read, because I think you have to be on the same level. You have to have that kind of um, connection with the way a person reads. So I try and like give as much information about my journey into tarot as possible. So I would say first port of call, definitely get familiar with that, and then if you're interested in having a go and trying and having that sort of initial reading, maybe if a bit skeptical or just a bit unsure, nervous, or even just super busy, I have an email tarot option, which is you just need to sort of order it online. There's a couple of different options for like different spreads that we can do. So if you have an idea of what it is that you specifically want to know about, you can let me know, or it can be a general reading. And then in a couple of days, you just get that to your inbox, and you'll have two documents. One of them outlines how to read and process a tarot reading. I don't think it's the kind of thing you should read on the bus on your way to work, because it can get quite deep, even if it's just written down. I think it needs a bit of sort of self care time, like pencil out a window to really read and digest it and give it that kind of time and energy. So that's a really kind of bite size option. And then we have the full kind of video call reading, where it's a 7 card spread, and we'll go through all the different areas of your life, or it can be super specific if there's something specific in mind. And it's more of a back and forth, it's more of a conversation. We can go deeper into what those cards might be trying to reflect to you. And kind of in both scenarios, it's never about me telling you what you need to know. It's a conversation. The cards are a way of kind of reflecting back to you the things that you already know. They might be in your subconscious, they might be in your higher conscious that's trying to send you messages. But I always try and stress to people that I don't know more about you and your situation than you do. I'm not going to tell you the future. I'm not going to tell you like what to do. That's all on you. It's just guidance, and it's kind of getting the messages that you really need to hear. And yeah, I think the person that's being bred for, in my opinion, plays a much bigger role than I do.
Charlotte and I did have a discussion the other day, full disclosure, about this. And there are definitely some myths around tarot. And one of them that I had heard is that you are not meant to purchase your own tarot cards. They're meant to be gifted to you. And we had a good discussion about that. But I think it opens the gateway for there's a lot of other myths around tarot, aren't there, Charlotte?
Yes, there's a lot. The one that, as you say, the one we talked about in particular was buying your own tarot deck. And I think, as I said before, that I was quite secretive about starting to read tarot and buying my deck. I kind of didn't do any research about it before, which I think was really helpful for me. So I didn't hear the myth that you're not supposed to buy your own tarot deck before I bought mine. So I just went and I was like, I want a tarot deck. I'm going to go buy one. And then, yeah, afterwards, when I sort of delved more into it, it's like, oh no, you can't buy your own, it has to be gifted. And I just think maybe it did have some kind of relevance in previous years when tarot was passed down through generations. If you come from a family of readers or even just kind of spiritual practitioners who are going to pass that down to you, then yes, I think it's a nice tradition. But today, I think it's just a bit gatekeepery. I think it just suggests that if you don't know other people that are reading tarot, that you shouldn't do it. And tarot isn't a closed practice. That you don't have to be initiated into it. You don't have to be a certain kind of person to be able to learn tarot. I think it's been heavily disproven. I know so many people that have bought their own decks. I've bought most of my own. So yeah, if you want a tarot deck, go and buy your own. And yeah, is a very misunderstood practice. It's kind of helps with the sort of the mystery of it. So there's a lot of misconceptions about where it initiated from. There's, even when you look into the history, you get conflicting like ideas and information. It's very contested where it originated from, and a lot of the cards have a lot of mythology around them. Like obviously you have the death card is probably the most famous one and the most feared card. It does not mean that you're going to die. I get the death card all the time. It kind of follows me around. And yeah, and it's one of those cards that it's kind of gone both ways. You have the sort of the mythology of it means you're going to die or someone's going to die, and it's only suffering. And then the kind of response to that is some decks paint it as like it's only rebirth and it's only good stuff. And like a lot of the cards, there's ups and downs to it. Like anything in life, it's a it's a moment in time. It's a thing that you're going through, and everyone responds differently at different points in their life. And yeah, the way I kind of try and deal with difficult cards and difficult, whether I'm reading for myself or someone else, is that whether the cards say it or not, you're living it. So it doesn't change. The cards aren't changing in the course of time and they're not changing your situation. So if you're going through like a really horrible time, if you're grieving, if everything feels like it's crumbling around you, that's not being changed by seeing that played out in the cards. The cards can offer you a bit of comfort in that you can say, okay, this is a thing that's happening. Here's what you can kind of do to support yourself in it. But most of the time, if you're going through something like that, it's not going to be a surprise when it comes up in the card because you're living it.
Would you be able to talk a little bit about the different layouts? Because I'm, as I say, I'm familiar with the three cards, which to me, but you might tell me differently, would be like the past, the present, and then the future would be the three. Is that correct?
That's one of them. So there are basically you can create your own tarot spreads for any kind of anything you want to do. There's the common ones for three cards are past, present, future. There's also the ones that I use, which are the ones if you get a kind of email tarot reading from me, there's three different three card readings. There's past, present, future, know, let go, grow, which is a really nice one. So it's what do you need to know, what do you need to let go of, and what needs to grow. Situation, problem, action. I might have got that wrong, but it's the same. It's something that's happening. What's the problem with it, and what do you need to do about it? So I normally do those three, and then I pull an oracle card, which is kind of a bit softer, a bit more advice. That's a bit more coming from the love and light kind of avenue. So oracle, not always, but oracle cards tend to be a bit softer, gentler, and these ones definitely are. So it's kind of like a nice way to round it off with like a little bit of advice, a little bit of kind of softness, particularly if the cards have been quite like abrupt. And then when you have more sort of intricate spreads, a really common one is the Celtic cross. So you have, I think it's about 9 cards. It's not one that I use, so I don't know too much about it, but I've had it read for me. The one I use is past, present, future, mind, body, spirit. And I find that that gives such a nice kind of overview, and it sort of for sort of that short kind of like 45-minute readings, it kind of like really pinpoints like it will usually pinpoint a point that needs attention, and then we can kind of discuss into that a little bit more and pull other cards if necessary. I don't think the spreads need to be extravagant.
What would be your one piece of advice for a new business, like somebody starting up in business? What would that be?
Yeah, I've thought about this recently, and I feel like my piece of advice isn't like super helpful, and it's a little bit cliche, but it was have to be having unshakable belief that it's gonna work, and being able to block out any kind of opinions of other people. And like I think when you start a business, or when you even just run a business or do anything that's not like completely traditional, everyone has lots of opinions about it, which is great, and it can be helpful. Everyone wants to help, but you have to really be able to just block that out. And a big part of that is just having a belief that you're going to be able to do it. And that doesn't mean that you'll get up every day and not have doubts. But I think I've been really lucky that I've had a lot of people around me that have believed in what I'm doing and have supported me since the very beginning. But for the most part, it's just me on my own doing stuff on my laptop. And in order to for me to have that drive to do it, I have to believe it's going to work. So I think if you don't have that, but like genuine belief, then I think you're really gonna struggle to do the day-to-day stuff and feel like it's gonna be worth it. Um, so yeah, it's a long process. I think isn't it? Overnight success is never overnight. It's got a lot of work behind it. Yeah, that would be my number one advice.
I think that is great advice. And I do agree. I think running your own business or being freelance is a very different mindset to being an employee. And I think you have to have tunnel vision. This is what I want to do. And there's so many distractions that can come along for various different reasons. And you've just got to be, no, 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 this is the tunnel I want to go in. You know, sometimes, I mean, it's good to take advice. Often though, the advice that you get is not from someone who's qualified. I think you should always try and
Yeah.
get advice from other business owners and everything, and or really good mentor or a business coach. I think that is really, really important. And obviously not to carry on doing something that is clearly, you've got to be open to like having some change, but the general direction, you have to be all in a way that you do not when
Yeah.
you're an employee. Everything in the kitchen sink. Some of the other people I've spoken to have said that the interaction on social media, and I know you shouldn't pin your confidence in your business on social media, but they said the difference in how they felt about their business was impacted by how many people commented and liked and interacted with things, because it gave them a boost to then, oh, this is great, I'm going to go forward and I'm going to make more stuff. So I always say, if you're listening and you like a business, what a business has posted, please go and like that. Go like it, share it, do an emoji in a story, whatever you want to do, but definitely give a bit of feedback, because small businesses often don't have that much feedback. They have it from their customers, but you also want to how you're landing elsewhere. Not everyone's going to be a customer either.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't necessarily think about that, like from a sort of consumer point of view. If you're following a business but you're not necessarily going to buy from them, it doesn't mean that you can't support them. And there's like, and the kind of the followers and the people that are interacting with the post is sort of just as valuable as the customers, because like you say, they give that feedback and they're sharing stuff, and yeah, it does make such a difference. And when it is just you really rely on those kind of interactions.
And I think I always look at it as they're posting free content that I value. Therefore, the way I'm going to value that and give the back to them, I can't just receive all the time, is to comment, like, share it on my stories, or even drop them a DM if that's what you want. But yeah, I think other people who are not in business or who aren't creators don't always understand that social currency is really important, because advertising budgets can be zero.
Oh yeah, yeah. And yeah, it's advertising, it's community, it's just chatting to people. It can break up your day if you're just on your own, like not talking to anyone. Like if you just work from home on your own, like it can just be that social interaction of, oh look, this looks really cool. I've enjoyed seeing what you're doing. Um, I think, yeah, social media plays a massive part in so many small businesses. And I think for a lot of us, it's definitely like a love-hate relationship, or maybe not that extreme, but it definitely has challenges. But yeah, there are a lot of positives.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. What piece of advice would you give a customer, not necessarily of your business, but maybe of a small business?
If you're in the market to shop with small businesses, to look at the value that is put in to like what you're actually receiving. So I think it can be quite easy if you're sort of on a budget to be like, oh, I can get this cheaper somewhere elsewhere. But like you say, if you talk about the sharing and the content that you're getting and the interactions that you have, to see that as like a whole, the value that you get, and sort of quantify it in the, okay, if it's a t-shirt, so I could go to Primark and buy 5 t-shirts, or I could buy this one t-shirt, and it will bring me the joy of knowing like all the work that went into it. It will bring the joy of this individual person, and like you could have that interaction. And yeah, I think it's definitely a very specific act to buy from a small business. I think that it's so easy to buy things online from like big corporations that sell everything. Like you get everything you want from a big corporation. Like it's so easy. So it's quite a specific act to be like, no, I'm going to find a small business that's just making things, and to make that decision to like support an individual that maybe you don't know if it's going to like live up to your expectations. You have to have that trust in them. Um, yeah. So I don't know if that's advice, but I think, yeah, just I guess my advice is to sort of consider other options. If you're in the market to buy a thing, is there other options from small businesses that you can support instead of the big corporation?
Yeah, because one of my previous podcasts, and I will link it down below, Caroline B said, you are literally putting clothes on their children's backs. You are paying their rent. It's a very direct purchase. You know what I mean? You are really supporting somebody, a small business, just supporting them directly rather than it going into a big corporation and that being transformed into some sort of dividends or whatever. And I think, I just feel like the energy is quite different on that. Like I bought some t-shirts recently off We Print Social. I'll put a link below. And they take a bit longer because they do like a campaign. And so if they haven't sold 5 t-shirts, I think is the minimum by the end of the campaign, then you get a refund if you've bought the t-shirt and it didn't reach that. And then after that, it's printed, and it can take quite a long time. I think my last t-shirt took 6 weeks, but I know that I've supported a really small creator who was trying out, a design. It was amazing. It's gorgeous. I'm really happy with it. And I found her on Instagram, and she does prints and stuff. So, but I have had to have patience with that because it took a bit longer. But then I also knew that percentage of that was going to charity as well. So it just was like a feel good thing all around. There was less waste because only the t-shirts that are purchased are printed. So you're reducing all the unnecessary waste that there is in fast fashion and things. And I'm also supporting a small creator who's also donating to charity. I mean, basically, I don't think I could have felt better about that t-shirt. Like, you know what I mean? But it was probably at least 3 times the price of something in one of the infamous stores. I won't name, but but the feeling I get is so much better. I think it's being a bit savvy. I mean, obviously some people don't have that choice of being able, they don't have the choice to buy for more expensive and everything, and that's totally fine. But there are lots of people that definitely do have the money, and you need to use your currency, your social currency, and also your actual money currency to buy from organizations that support really good values and that are going to support the local community, because some of these big organizations are stripping it out. And so I think that's great advice to a customer. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today, Charlotte. I think I could have spoken to you all afternoon. It's been so good.
Thank you. It has been lots of fun.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. So I will leave all of Charlotte's links to her shop, to her Instagram, to other social medias in the description. So I think you should definitely go and check those out. Go and purchase yourself a t-shirt, go get yourself a tarot reading. Is there anything else that you've got coming up in the next 6 months, Charlotte?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm busy working on a new product collection that's coming out. So I'm trying lots of new things. I've got all the design sorted, so I'm just kind of trying out new products. There's gonna be new things that I haven't done before. So I'm super excited about that. I'm hoping that's gonna be out in the next month or two. As well as that, work on really kind of getting back into creative workshops. So I run screen printing workshops as well as other sort of craft workshops, creative DIY workshops. They've obviously had a bit of a break, and I'm really looking forward to getting those back into the world. Yeah, so very busy at the moment.
So definitely keep an eye on Charlotte's Instagram, on her social medias, and on her website, so you can be up to date with when she launches her new products and when she launches her workshops again. That's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't wait. It'll be good to get back into the world, spreading some creativity, and yeah, finally get these products out because they've been a long time coming.
I'm excited. Well, thank you so much for listening or watching this podcast. As I said, if you want to see any of the things that we've been talking about, head over to Charlotte's Instagram or her other social medias. I will link them below. Thank you so much for listening to the Small Business Happy Dance, and we will see you next week. So, Eva, as you are give advice to people who are setting up their businesses, what one piece of advice would you give to any new business who is watching this or someone thinking about setting up?
Delegate. No, seriously, I think I've worked with lots of businesses through my time at Wire, and I think the one thing is when you're setting up a new business as on your own, the thought is that you have to do everything for yourself, and you're so in your business that you think you have to do everything and you can't possibly give anything away. It sort of becomes your literally everything, doesn't it, when you're setting it up? And I just think it's a bit, a lot of people don't like this, but I quite like doing a SWOT analysis.